Hello everyone and welcome back. The summer is just flying by. We're already into the middle of August. Today we're going to be looking at a small eastern red cedar that I collected from somebody's lawn. It already looks like it could be a few years old, as it's been mowed over many times. Every time the grass was cut, the little tree was cut. So you guys will see that when we get to it here in a minute. First of all, I'm just going to give you guys a couple updates, and I'll show you guys something interesting that happened with my geranium bonsai cuttings. So let's go take a look at that first, and then we'll take a look at the eastern red cedar. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to show you guys before we take a look at the eastern red cedar is my lemon cypress cuttings. They are still growing really well. I mean, they've grown a few inches. That's how well they've grown this summer. So it's just fabulous. So, you know, if you guys have any cuttings, you stick them in bonsai soil and keep them moist. And, you know, they should do as well as these, pretty much. Keep them a little shaded, but yet in the bright area. The ones back here aren't doing quite as well, but it looks like they could still make it, especially the one in the back there. A couple more trees I want to share with you guys is my Bullhorn Acacias. This is the smaller one, and he's finally started to take off. And also thicken his trunk up a little wee bit at the same time. So this summer he's probably growing about maybe 2.5 inches, close to 3 inches. But that's quite good compared to the way it was growing this past winter and spring. So it's yeah, he's decided to take off, which is good. Here's the larger one. And it's doing extremely well. You can see here we got some branches out here that have really grown. And the trunk's just starting to thicken up a little bit. It's probably about 1/4 inch now. I started these from seeds last spring. And I got the seeds from Todd's Tropicals. You can see here it's grown quite well. And the great big thorns. Hence the name Bullhorn Acacia. Here's some down here that are starting to age a little bit, so they're starting to turn brown and kind of really harden off. These green ones they're still kind of softer. And then going down to the red ones are starting to get a little bit harder. And then moving down, they start to turn brown and harden off. So yeah, this is doing really excellent. This one here, the large one, is just marching on and growing here. So if you go to Todd's Tropicals, he's got a large tree of this species, and a really neat looking tree. It's a big one. Nigel Saunders also has a couple of these. Him and I both started these from seed last spring, and his are larger than mine are. Yeah, quite neat trees. And here's my monkey ear trees. I also started these off from seed last spring, and these are also from Todd's Tropicals. Mine really haven't done a lot of growing. They've expanded on the trunks a little bit, but Not a whole lot. However, most are alive and thriving, and that's the main thing. Here's some more I have planted in this terracotta pot. And these are doing well, but they're not going anywhere really fast. But I mean, they are growing and they're staying green. They're thickening up on the trunks also. These guys here, it's like they went dormant and never came out, but however, they are green and they are living. Their trunks are really thickening up, which is very strange, but they're not putting out any other growth. I haven't seen anything out of them since last winter, so that's quite strange. I have some more over here. This one here is probably about the tallest one. This one here coming in close. And I have another one over here. Yeah, so I have lots of them. I wasn't expecting that many to take, but they did. Well, if you guys remember, I did a really hard prune on my geranium bonsai back in the spring. And the cuttings that I had from that pruning, I put them in the garden here. Just in regular garden soil in the garden. And you can see here that they've done extremely well. So they not only got some new growth on them, but you can see they put out flowers. So they're really quite happy. This next one here is about to put out some more flowers. This little guy down here, he's come along really well, and he's also going to put out some flowers. So yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, if you guys ever go to prune your geranium and you guys have some good cuttings that have kind of hardened off, that aren't fresh growth, then you can try starting them like this and even start some new plants. So I'm not too sure what I'm going to do with these yet. I may try taking them out of the ground and overwinter them in the house and bring them back outside next year, maybe in pots as a decorative flower. Yeah. So I thought you guys would be interested to see that. And over here is the Eastern Red Cedar. You can tell it's been sitting here for quite a while. I actually collected this back in about June. And I didn't have much time. Didn't have much time to dig it out of the ground where this was. So I just had a shovel and I just took a great big chunk out, assuming that I was going to get all the roots, which what I did, just because it's so young. But looking at the little trunk that's on it, I think this thing is already a few years old. We'll get a better look at it when we take the weeds out of this. We're just going to kind of clean it up and have a better look at it. So why don't we get it out and we'll put it on the table, and we'll take a look at it while we clean it up. Okay, so this is a lot easier. For this year, I plan on leaving it in this mass of dirt here until next spring. We're just going to kind of pull out some of the grass and stuff. I'm going to try and leave a little bit of the moss here for the time being. Yeah, it's a so an eastern red cedar, and even though it in the name eastern red cedar, it does mention cedar, but actually, in fact, this is not even really a type of cedar. It's actually a type of juniper. And I encourage you to go to Google and Google it, eastern red cedar, and you can see what an incredible species it is. They're very drought resistant. They can live pretty much anywhere and almost in a lot of different environments. At least I know in North America. They can tolerate a lot of heat and a lot of cold. They can tolerate a lot of drought. And they can also live in wetlands, like in swamps. So they're quite an extraordinary juniper. They can also live in very poor soil conditions. Like that includes like sand, clay type soil, and soil that really hardly gets, if any, nutrients in it. Okay, we've pretty much got a lot of the grass and the weeds out. I'm really excited about potting this up at some point. If you can see here now, the trunk is probably about a 1/4 inch in diameter. Not sure if I can better focus here or not. Yeah, it's about a 1/4 inch in diameter anyways. So I think it'd be about a few years old. I could be wrong, but maybe 3-4 years old. Yeah, it's pretty neat, and to find it growing in the grass is quite something. Every time the grass got mowed, the top was getting mowed also, so it was keeping it pruned. Yeah, it's very small. I have to decide over the winter time how I'm going to style it or what I'm going to do with it. Whether I'm going to grow it larger or not, we'll have to see. Anyways, I'm going to be keeping it in this pot, overwintering it in here, and I'll be putting that in my shed probably in December sometime, just to help it through. Yeah, so that's really interesting. Something new for next year. Yeah, I'm not too sure how that seed would have gotten there because there isn't any eastern cedars in sight of this place. I'm kind of thinking that maybe, you know, it was carried there originally by a bird in the droppings or something like that. However, that's something new to look at for next spring. Well, that's it for today, guys. Have yourself a great day and take care.